What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. We're here in the shop for another shop project. A new trailer for the hunt camp. I wasn't gonna record one, but I was thinking, you know, people have side-by-sides. The little ATV trailers really aren't big enough for side-by-sides. Or you wanna haul something bigger. Let's say you have a hunt camp like we do, or a cottage. So you wanna do some workout, or even run home. You want something a little bigger. So we are going to build a 4x8 trailer, tandem axle, with a walking beam to use the hunt camp. I want to bring it up so you put a piece of plywood on the bottom of the floor and it'll fit in perfect. Here's my rough drawings. I'm going to change some stuff already. You get the idea. 4x8, like I said. We're going to cut the these on a nice angle so they're all fit in real nice. And then we're going to use 1-inch square tubing as our crossers. And then I'm going to change this tongue and just do one piece back and tie it in. And it's gonna have sides on it that fold down and then come down to a beam with a bushing and your walking tandems. Here are the spindles I got. They are 5 bolts. They didn't really say on them, but I think they're around 2,500 pound to 3,000 pound, I think, in around there. Good old Princess Auto Special. I'm gonna use ball, 2-inch ball receiver on there. And we'll go outside and show you what we used before. This is the old trailer they used. They used to call it the moose wagon because they used to haul moose out when they actually shot one. There's really not any around anymore. They're around, but you can't get tags for them or anything. It holds stuff, like it holds a lot of stuff, but with the sides being like this, you're limited to what you can put in it. It doesn't hold a piece of plywood flat on the floor. It doesn't pull that great. The steering is all over the place. You can't back it up with a darn. So I was gonna revamp it and put all suspension underneath it, but the ATV 30 little tandem axle ATV trailer we use, walking tandem, it floats along there perfect. We don't need suspension. Keep it simple. So this is where we're at. It's the old trailer. Something new. People may be wondering how this trailer is making out. I'm sure the same people are gonna watch the same video. This thing's been phenomenal. It just worked. We had my Razor right at the very front, and then 850 Sportsman and XMR 1000 at the back, and it towed it mint. Didn't flex, pulls straight. It's awesome. Couple things I left to do on it. I'm gonna change these, maybe put expanded metal on it for more grip. There's some painting to do. These need a couple more holes put in it. I still haven't fixed these lights yet. I wanna get these cut and mounted down here and tuck up the wiring. And then I noticed the straps we use, they don't go around the 1-inch tubing, so I might make some eyelets or something to hook onto, so it's a little easier that way. But other than that, this thing just puts in the work. So back in here, it's so hot out today, it's not bad in here. We're gonna get started on the framework, cut some 2-inch square tubing and get that laid out and go from there. Okay, well, I got some, got the 2-inch cut. Turned out really nice. And you just grab your 2-inch piece and you measure a 45. And then from the inside to the inside is your 4 feet. And then same here, your inside to that inside is your 8 feet. So your outside's actually, 8'2" or 8'3", but the inside is perfect for a piece of plywood. Plywood we're using is 3/4 inch, so I want it flush. So I'm gonna do 1-inch tubing, lift it off the floor, 1/4 inch, and that'll give us our inch, and then leave enough for the 3/4 inch. So plywood will be flush mounted. So everything will be nice, be all nice and even. So I only had enough steel to do 2 runs, so I need to go get some more. In the meantime, I thought I'd start working on the axles. And I had this sitting around. It's 2.5-inch square tubing, heavy wall, 1/4 inch wall. There's this side's done. And just use inch in, because it's an 1 3/4 shaft. I use an 1 3/4 hole saw in the old press. And it takes quite a while, but whatever. And you have a perfect hole, like it's perfect. It's square all the way down. It all looks pretty sweet. So that should, with a regular trailer tire, they're 26 inches tall. That will leave us 3 inches in between the tires. Yeah, that turned out really good. Okay, I got the other holes cut out and looking mighty minty. I'm gonna set them right about there. I'm gonna do a 1/4 inch, and I'm gonna have to make sure they're square because there's a little bit of play in there, but they're pretty tight. And then I measured another trailer where the tire is gonna sit on the outside. It's about 1.5 inches past the hub. To here is 10 inches, 20 inches. I want 4 feet altogether, so this is 33 inches from here to here. So I'm gonna have a bar go across, back that up. It's 33 inches. We'll get into how this is gonna get all mounted once we get further along, but for now, because I am out of steel, I've put a call in to get some more, but I'm gonna get this all tacked, flip it over, tack it, and I think I can fully weld out the frame, the box. So I can do that while I'm waiting on a phone call to hear back from steel. Sure, I thought it was sooner, but I didn't realize how short it was on stuff and how much this is gonna take. So anyways, I'm gonna get that all welded out, and then I'll probably get these all cleaned up and welded out too. Okay, well that is all fully welded. You'll see I made a mistake. I just threw some 90s on there and assumed that would get it kind of square, and I just started measuring and it was out 1/2 inch at a square. So I had to cut all my tacks off. Doesn't take too many tacks to make that like pretty solid. So had to cut them all apart and kind of mess with it for a bit to get it dead square. So you got to just measure from that corner to that corner and that corner to that corner, make sure they're the exact same measurement. It's 112.5 both ways. It still is 112.5 fully welded. So that's nice, very nice. Was my other mistake? I made 2. Oh yes, I wanted to have a nice gap on both sides to fill in. Well, I made the gaps too big, or just the way it wasn't lining up. I had a lot of fill to put in, which is annoying, which also doesn't give you as strong as the weld. Just you gotta fill a gap in, it's not as strong. So anyways, they still turned out okay. Not the prettiest. We'll get them cleaned up, and yeah, that was mistake number 2. 1, make sure you got it square first. Duh. 2, yeah, just don't grind too much out, because I end up screwing myself. So as I'm talking about that, I'm going to clean these up and put a very small bevel onto there with a diamond pole saw drill thing, whatever you call those things. Yep, that. Yeah, that. And yeah, get those cleaned up, both sides, get all this oil off and all the burrs, get the burrs out of there, and then set those in and get those welded up. Let's go. We got steel. Yep. Look at that. Spent quite a bit of time this morning cleaning up the old 2x2 that I had that was very, very rusty. It looked like crap, and you need clean steel to weld to. So that's all cleaned up. Got all the crosses put in. They're on 12-inch centers. Be lots of beef, and yeah, just as you're going along, spend the time and make sure that they are snug but not tight, because if you have one that's tight, the next one it'll spread it a little bit, and then it'll be wider, the next one will be wider. You want them as close as possible. Like this one's, you can move it. That one's a little, see, a little loose, a little loose. You want to be able to just move them, but not a big enough gap that you're going to spend hours welding. to try and fill in a gap. Those look pretty good. It's not spread. And yeah, I can just weld the top out on all of them, flip it over, weld the bottom out, put it on the side, weld the sides out. So yeah, gotta do it 4 times, but it'll be strong. Get at her. Okay, we are fully welded out. All sides, done. Sweet. You can do it after, you can drill holes, but see I left a little hole in every single one because these will sweat and you want to get water out. Or they will expand and freeze if you're in a cold climate. And they go mushroomy. Not cool, not cool. Next on the list, you can do whatever you want here for a topper. I'm doing plywood. Plywood is, I have some, it's durable, doesn't rust, it's grippy, it's what I kind of want. So I'm going to line the whole outside with 1-inch angle iron, kind of like that. Downside, just realizing that my welds are holding the angle iron out. Maybe I shouldn't weld at the top at all. Anyways, we'll have to figure that out. But that gives me, that's 3/4 of an inch basically. So this will be flush and it'll give it the plywood strength all around the outside, and the center will just touch the 1-inch. So that's what I'm doing. Yep, one side's done, welded in there, looking sharp. So what I did was I put a brand new disc on, and yeah, it cut in there perfectly. And I took a little edge off here, and bang, flush, perfection. Then I just grab the clamp on each end, and then I clamp in the center to hold it this way while they're in. So that side's done. And do this side. Fit some ends. Yeah, buddy. A lot's gone on since I updated last because I wanted to have it all done before I updated it. So this is gonna be maybe a bit of a rant, but this is the most crucial part. Yeah, there's this part. So first you need, I should start off, I did this first. So you need to find what height you want your trailer at. So I want 34 inches. So between these risers, this 4-inch tube, and then the flat bar should get me pretty, and then the tire size, so 26-inch tall tires, so it gives you 13 inches of ground clearance there ish. You just keep adding until you figure out what height you want. Then you cut this flat bar, and I cut a 4 inches up, enough to go around the tube. Then I drill a hole through here and put in 1.5 by 120 wall to go all the way through, because I didn't have enough of this pipe. That was kind of my own screw up. You could probably skip this part. If you had enough of the bigger pipe to go all the way through, you wouldn't need this, but I wanted something a little more beefy. Then get this welded on first. So I measured from the weld to the weld, plus the tube's 2.5. So I gave it 3 inches. So set your 3-inch on the outside, on the inside, sorry. Get this all square, weld that on, or tack it on. And then you have to slide this piece through, this piece here, through, and then set this piece on and tack it in. So you can't do it after. This has to go in, and then you put your faceplate on. And then I welded these on the outside for it to rotate on, and I put grease fittings in on all 4. Now no water's gonna get in here. Grease fittings may not be a big thing, but if you use a waterproof grease in there, it'll give it some rotation protection. Then weld that fully, so that's all boxed, and then repeat on that side. Then this will sit on top of that 2x2, and we'll get that welded on, and then start doing some bracing. So I know This looks complicated, and it kind of was. It took me a lot of drawing to figure out, a lot of math to get it to where it is, and I did screw up. You can see this is leaning because I did screw up the center on this. I thought it was 15 and a 16th, but it was 15 and, well, 15.6, which just tried 15 and 3/4, so it's out half an inch. So not gonna matter. The load is still gonna be pretty much centered. You might have a little more bias on one end than the other, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna put that towards the back, so it'll sit the way it is here now. So as long as you match the other side, but yeah, that's why this is off center a little bit, but rotates nice. This isn't a machine shop dealing with, you know, basic tools. So yeah, rant over. We're gonna get this fully welded and then set that on and get that welded, and then it's time to do some gusseting. That looks freaking really good. Those welds. I love welding heavy stuff. You can just butter it in there. It's all fully welded. Yep. She looks mighty good. Yep, it's as straight as I'm gonna get it. I like it. So next part of this project is to beef this up. Forward and back, probably don't need to do a whole lot. Probably pretty strong, but I'm going to anyways because that's how I roll. Overdo anything. I think this section here weighs as much as the whole trailer because I can lift this no problem, and I struggled. It's way overkill. Anyways, gusseting. My plan. 45s from here to here, 2-inch square tubing, both sides. I'm gonna run from here to here. That's hot. Maybe even from here to here, both sides, and then something from here. I haven't decided I'm gonna do, like, you can do a bridge this and do flat bar in through the center and down to this side. But I'm probably just gonna do 1 inch because it really doesn't need a lot. It's just in case. Oh, look at those welds. Sick. Happy. Laying in there. So yeah, I'm gonna get that cutting. I'm gonna brace and brace and brace and brace there. That'll help tie this all together. Be all the beef. And after that, bottom's done. Yes, sir. This is turning out so freaking good. Like, yeah, way overkill for what we're gonna use it for. This thing should last a lifetime. But the second as I was building it, not that I was the reason why I built it this strong, it's just I overbuild everything. It's like if you're in the bush and an ATV breaks down or something, there's no problem throwing it on there and taking it out. If it was wide enough, I'd throw a side by side on there. Yep. Wouldn't bother me one bit. So I got all these angles put in. They look really good. This is all beefed up. So the only weak part is here. I was thinking after, generally, when you get building something, you think, I wish I did something different. The only thing I'm thinking I could have done, because there's lots of room for articulation, is to put a plate, the same plate. No, I don't have any more of that stuff. Same plate from here to here to keep this strong, and then put this back here up to the plate. It's the only other thing I was thinking, but I can't imagine that bending. That's crazy strong. So I'm out of time for today. We'll reconvene here shortly. Whew, been a couple days, but we are back at it. And I got the tongue on. Looks freaking sick. Did a couple 45s. Beefed that up. That should be a lot strong. And then I was gonna do 2, but I'm like, I think that's tons of strength. So I just did 1 inch straight across welded. And I did put these in here. Probably not necessary. Seems a little overkill, but it was bothering me. OCD kicked in. Shoo, buddy. Yep. That's a beefy in right there. God, that looks so good. Super happy so far. Now, the fun part. I gotta flip it over because everything down here is done. Although I did say that I should paint it while it's this side up. Should clean it and paint it, some of this bottom stuff. What should I do? A lot easier to paint it this way, but I could also flip it back on its side and paint underneath. But I also know that none of this in here is gonna need any more welding on it. It's just the sides. That's it. I'm gonna make sides for it. So everything down here should be done. I wonder if I should spend a bit of time. So I'll probably regret it later. Like this unit, sitting here rusting. Oh Bert, oh poor Bert. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna clean up, do a bit of grinding, and get her cleaned up, and paint some of this other stuff. Damn it! Well, let's go. Looks good. That's 2 coats on there. Ran out of paint. I'm gonna get some more. I might do another 3rd coat with a brush because the cans are mighty expensive and they're not going far. That was almost 3 cans. I will note, and I cannot believe this, I don't know how you change it because even if it's on the floor, it's still gonna do it, but I don't know if you can see it right there. It actually, welding that on, pulled, and it pulled this 2x2, another 2x2, those 2 2x2s, and there's angle iron in there, plus all the crossers, and it still pulled it. I don't think there's enough weight on there for it to have bowed that before I welded it. I'm pretty sure the welds pulled that very mildly, but it did. Anyways, I digress. Moved on to these side doors. So this is front or back. Go to your outside, like your furthest away to your furthest away will be your what you need to cut, and then do a 45. And I wanted them a foot long, so I made outside a foot. Make sure they're all square, so side to side, side to side. Tacked them, and I have all the rest. Is a lot of work. There's the 2 sides, so they're 100 inches. And then I have all the other pieces cut ready. So all I do is throw them on the table, tack them together, weld them up. Yeah, I haven't done too much time lapse because the video is gonna be long enough as it is. So time lapse, you really can't see what I'm doing anyways to get an idea, but I wanted to keep it kind of like the 25-minute video. So yeah, we can cut some of this talking about it, bet you. Go through it with you as we go here, but yeah, see you tomorrow. Okay, a lot's gone down, but all pretty simple. Bam! Looking mint. So I changed my plan. I was gonna make them hinge. They came flat, but just way more work and doing cables, and I'm just running out of time, and I just don't see why we would ever need these to come flat when you can just take them off. It's gonna be, if it's gonna be wide, just take them off. So this, the front bar is welded solid. It's minty. That's solid. These are on sleeves and super simple. Bam, pins in, done, locked in. There's 2 in each one. The back is also removable. So if you want a complete flat deck, pull 6 pins, those come right off. I did end up putting a piece in here because this was kind of doing one of these. I'm gonna weld that onto there like that. So you just slide that pin in and that'll keep it from moving around that way. And the back I have not figured out yet. I gotta think about this a little some more, but ended up being a little taller because I screwed up my measurements. I'll confess that now. When I was making this piece, I took the 4 inches off because it goes around this big bar in there, but it's still 4 inches, so it's 4 inches too tall. So instead of it being 36 inches tall, it's gonna be 40. What are you gonna do? And then I will have to make a drop hitch too, just thinking of that too, because that's way too tall. So I'm gonna make even for my tall bike, I'm gonna need a 15-inch drop. So that's another thing I still have to do on this. Yeah, I'll just throw an update here. I got the tongue, the drop hitch put in. Turned out not bad. Not bad, should be lots strong. So now I went to town and got some good old quad. Got her all wiped down. Throw a splash of paint on her before. Well, it's another day here, and we got a lot done, but I have a confession. I definitely made a big mistake, but for now, let's go over. Yeah, plywood's on. This took quite a bit of time to do this, but turned out great. The only downside is 4x8 sheets of plywood aren't 4x8, unfortunately. Anyways, then the little notch for my pins here. It's all just self-tapped in, which went in really nice because it's pretty heavy metal. And yeah, super happy. Ran using on the outside, did the front one that's solid, ran it on the inside. Then I was looking and I made a little spot for 2 fuel tanks sideways, so you just strap them on. Should have put, maybe I still will, weld something here to hook to. But we're still at this. You think, oh, it's done. I will admit a screw up, and it's a fairly large one. 2 things. First, I did not make enough clearance from here to here for a tire at all. You would need like a -2 or 3 offset, which are next to impossible to find. And if you did, they're probably going to be aluminum or get them made. It's going to cost an absolute fortune. Mistake 2, it's way too tall. This would be ride height. Actually, not even quite. You have to go up a little more, which is way too tall. Way too tall. So after not finding rims and worrying about the height, I've come up with a solution. It's a bit of work, but it's going to fix 2 things. I'm going to cut this completely off both sides and take this tube, the whole tube, down. Then I'm going to cut, hopefully it'll get it in the saw, and cut right down this line, leave a little gap for the welds. Right down there, I'm going to take this piece and clean this all up here and move this to the outside. So that will gain me, it'll lower it 6 inches, which would be sweet, but it will widen it 8 inches, 4 on each side. And I took the tape measure and lined it down with a wall here. So that should run the tire right to the edge. Not totally ideal, because I want to keep the mud and stuff from underneath, but it gives us whatever tire width we want to put on it, and it'll make it more stable because the tire is going to be way further to the outside. Right now, I had a feeling if we got this thing loaded, this sitting this tall, hitting those rocks, it's just going to be like, everything on top is going to be flying everywhere, and it's just way too tall. I got the scariest tool I've ever ran right there, and I'm going to get cutting at these. Do my best to do a nice job cutting there and get it all cleaned up and weld her back on there. Yeah, there you go. Mistakes happen. If you're doing this, just make sure before you weld it all, put the tires on. You know, flip it over, put tires on. Make sure it all fits. Okay, it's on here, but let's roll. A lot of time's passed since I showed you anything last. A few setbacks, including tires. Remember when I kind of didn't do the axle just 100% centered, that's the word. Really botched the tire thing, so I scrambled to find some smaller tires to the back, changed a bunch of stuff. Anyways, long story short, here it is. Bam. Yeah, looks mint. Happy with it, except this, I had to do a smaller tire because this is 3/4 of an inch off, and the smaller tire, it rubs in here. So, and then I put the rims backwards to clear that bar. So a couple things I definitely would have done differently on the axle part. I would have put a spacer in behind and made them a little longer so you could fit a bigger tire. But if you're doing that, put the tires on the hub and just do a little more measuring than I did. I'm like, it'll be fine. They have an offset, it'll be all good. No, it doesn't. I also added some D-rings. You can bolt them, I welded them in because it's faster. So there's 4 on each side. And then I added this on the front for 2 fuel tanks and put a little strap to put a holder, push strap across. Can't talk, I'm very tired. Looks good, looks good. I don't know, I'm driving it around. It bounces like it's going to. There's a lot of air pressure in those tires. But I think if I was doing it again, I don't know how you do that, but you can buy stub torsion axles. So the torsion's on like an 8-inch piece and it bolts into 2 different places, and then it's a torsion arm, and you could do them independent with no cross axle. That'd be the ultimate thing. They're 300 and some bucks each. That's way over our camp budget for what we're gonna do. But that would have been the ultimate fix for sure, because then we'd have suspension and independent. It would ride a lot nicer. I think these tires have like 50 PSI in them, so I'm gonna air them down a little bit, and that'll help them ride a lot nicer as long as they clear everything, which they should. Got lots of clearance there now, so not so much in this tire, but hope you liked it. It's a pretty sweet side-by-side trailer. No one really makes one like this. Could make a dump too, but long enough. If you liked it, subscribe, give it a big old thumbs up, please. Helps us out immensely. And we'll fucking see you later.